What's up, y'all? I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut. Thanks for coming back for yet another week. So I've got lots of fun stuff on tap this week, but the first thing I want to talk about, which is the main thing I want to talk about today, is a way to make your trimmer line work better or last longer, which I think in the long run is going to save you quite a bit of frustration. So what happens is that over time, as trimmer line sits, it dries out and becomes brittle. And when it's brittle, it breaks off a lot easier. And so when you're doing edging around things like concrete or fences or whatever, when this trimmer line is brittle, it's gonna break more often, which means you're gonna have to bump to refeed more often, which means then in turn, you're gonna have to refill the head more often. And I think that is probably one of the most frustrating things that we go through, especially as DIYers, because when are you gonna run out of string? You know. That's right, you're gonna run out when you're in the extreme corner of your backyard and you're only about halfway done with your weed whacking. That's when you're gonna run out of string. And of course, you won't take any in your pocket with you because you haven't had to refill your string trimmer head maybe for a couple, 2 or 3 weeks. And that's the whole thing. Something like this is 250 feet of trimmer line here. This might actually be sitting in your garage for 2 or 3 years. I think the last one of these I had before I was taking care of the Freedom Factory, when I was just doing only my house, I think the last one of these I had may have lasted me over 3 years. And so you can imagine as this sits in heat and cold, especially those of you up north, dry, cold, brittle conditions over the winter, freezing, and then going into freeze thaw, you know what I'm saying. It's gonna dry it out. But wait, there's more. There's actually a way to rejuvenate your trimmer line. Yeah, I was actually watching a video from Project Farm, one of my favorite YouTube channels a couple years ago, and down in the description, see this little blurb right there? He says that trimmer line is hydrophilic and that you can actually rejuvenate it or reinvigorate it, or really the term is re-wet it, by throwing it in water overnight. And I'm not kidding with you, it works. If you do the research, you'll see that there are pros out there that talk about this. Even Echo themselves talks about this, so it definitely is a thing. And I thought that was kind of cool, the word hydrophilic. So I looked it up and here's some of what I found. Hydrophilic, having the tendency to mix with, dissolve in, or be wetted by water. And then I like this term too, hydrophile. A hydrophile is a molecule or other molecular entity that is attracted to water molecules and tends to be dissolved by water. So basically anything that likes to be wet is a hydrophile, which reminds me of a girl I used to date in college. And that's why you can rejuvenate your trimmer line, because it will accept water. It can be wetted by water. So real quick, I just want to point out, the way that you'll know that your trimmer line is brittle is it'll break off in like pieces. And I can't simulate that, unfortunately, because this trimmer line is not brittle. I've rejuvenated it by soaking it in water. But so I figure I'll show you when you know you're not brittle, you get, of course, oh well, you get these, see how it's all little tiny pieces, little flecks? That's how you know you're good, because when it breaks off in those little flecks like that, it tells you that it's not brittle. When it's brittle, like I said, it'll break off in little like 1/8 or 1/4 inch sections that are much larger. But if you see it doing that, that's good. That means you're good. And the funny thing is there's an opposite term that we hear in lawn care, which is hydrophobic. And you've heard about that with soils that become hydrophobic, which means they repel water. Or one of the terms I've read about is these soils become water-fearing. Kind of interesting. I know you've seen it though. If you do anything with potted plants, for sure you've experienced your soil in that pot becoming hydrophobic. Let me show you what it looks like. I'm gonna go back over here to my bone barrel zone. What are you doing? See if I can find some hydrophobic soil. Yeah, I bet that's gonna be hydrophobic right there. What you'll see is, you've seen this with potted plants, you water them and all the water just goes down and around the sides. It doesn't actually absorb down through because that is water repelling soil. For me, that's what I've heard described as soil that's tight. And it is, it's about the angles, essentially. Can you see that? See the water not going? See how it's just beating right there? See, and you can see it over there too. It just runs off. See that? See how it's just running off and going down and around the sides? See that? That's because the soil is hydrophobic. I know that you've seen this too. Here, we can try it on this one. See how this one does. Oh yeah, that's even worse. See that? Can you see it flowing off the sides? Look at it. See that? I mean, some is absorbing for sure, but most of it's running off the sides. That's hydrophobic soil. Hey, I'm in the edit here. Real quick, that was a terrible example. I actually think that's just dry soil, not hydrophobic soil. But anyway, interesting concept that you should study because some of you may suffer with that. But in the meantime, I'm going to give you a much better example of something that's hydrophobic and then show you a way that we make water wetter. Check out this example. I think it'll be a little bit better, and you'll learn a little something here too. Hydrophobia is why we often have to use wetting agents or surfactants or stickers with our weed controls. A lot of weeds will have like a waxy coating on them. Now the waxy coating for the weed is probably there to help it to retain moisture or something like that. But what that waxy coating does is it makes the leaf surface hydrophobic so that the weed control that you spray, it beads up instead of sticking and spreading out across the weed. That's why we'll use a surfactant to make the water wetter and to relieve that hydrophobic condition when we're spraying our weed control. All right, so I'm going to show you this concept in a much larger scale here. These are my beautiful tea plants. Aren't they gorgeous? And let's just pretend that this is a surface of a weed that you're spraying. Now, I'm just using water here, and I want to show you what hydrophobic is. And you'll see these plants are hydrophobic, meaning this leaf will not absorb the water, at least not right away. Watch. See how the water's running off? That's because the leaf is hydrophobic. And you'll see the water is beating up there. Now, for this plant, my assumption is the reason it does that is because it wants the water to run down there where it'll get to the roots, as well as water on these upper ones running down here, because these kind of plants, tropical plants, they love to store water in their nooks and crannies, and there's all kind of symbiotic relationships going on in there. But either way, you can see that leaf is hydrophobic. See, that water is not sticking to it. That is just beating off of there. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little surfactant, and you're going to watch. This is going to make the water wetter. In other words, it's going to make the water stick to a hydrophobic surface. We don't need a lot because this is just a tiny little thing here. Gotta clear out the line of the pure water. Okay, now watch. All right, so here, get these adjacent leaves here, ready? Can you see the difference? Obviously the water's still running off, but can you see that that leaf is now completely coated and shiny? Here, look at the difference. This one's still beaded up. This one completely coated and shiny. The reason this matters for weed control is because the weed control acts systemically. It gets into the tissue and moves its way down the plant to kill it. So you need that better coverage, because like this, you can imagine if there was weed control mixed into those droplets, that's the only sites where it can enter. Whereas here, it's eligible to enter across the entire surface of the leaf. So that's how surfactants work as wetting agents to make water wetter and to solve some of the problems with hydrophobic conditions. Oh, I like the name of that. That's an interesting word, isn't it? Non-ionic surfactant. Huh. The ultimate solution for localized dry spots. That right there is going to help a lot of marriages. All right, couple quick announcements now. I wanted to give you an update on our Milorganite meme contest. If you didn't see that, it's over now, but it's something we launched a couple of weeks ago. We asked you guys to submit your favorite memes, and we were going to pick one, turn it into a t-shirt, and then sell the t-shirts and then donate the profits to Rodney's Raising Men and Women Lawn Care. You will find Rodney on Twitter. I'll link him below. However, the way the memes came in, they're not really going to work too well on a t-shirt, so we're going to drop back and punt, and we're going to actually choose 4 of them, and I'm going to turn those into stickers, and then we're going to sell the sticker meme pack. We're not making any profit on this, so we won't have to worry about violating anyone's copyright or anything, because a lot of these memes, which I'm flashing on the screen here, you know, they obviously are clips from movies and things like that. So this is just something for fun. We're going to put together, put in some in little envelopes, and then when you guys buy them, whatever the difference in our cost is, 100% of that will just go right to Rodney. So we're going to do it that way. I still need a little bit of time to get together to pick all the top 4 that we want to use here. But again, I've been flashing a few up here on the screen. We had some hilarious ones. You guys are super creative. And then we also had some that are pretty well-known memes and things like that, but are still fun. And I actually think they'd be really cool on a sticker. So stay tuned over the next couple of weeks for an update on that. And coming up, I'll be talking more about this Ego power head. I call it the split boom unit that I actually purchased recently. And then I ended up getting the attachment for the edger and using that. Really like that. For so far, in my experience, Ego is the gold standard when it comes to weed whackers. I actually have a weed whack addiction, like bad. Like I own way more weed whackers than I have weeds, possibly. So I like it though, but I wanted to go ahead and get the edger to go with or along with the Ego weed whacker because I really feel like I'm going that way for most of what I'm doing. So I went to the old Ace over by there and got it. I'll go ahead and give you guys a full update on what I think about that over sometime in the next couple of weeks. I'm actually going to GIE next week, so I'm going to go to the Ego booth, see what I can sniff out there, see if they have anything new coming out. But just want to let you know that's some content that is coming up here over the next couple 2-tree weeks. Until then, if you're going to be at the GIE Expo next week, I look forward to meeting you and chatting with you. And for the rest of you guys, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I hope you get to enjoy a couple 2-tree more mows before this year is over. I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut. Thank you so much for watching. Clickety-clack that like button down there, will you? And I'll see you in the lawn.